Hey everyone, I'm back on the channel today with a story that's honestly a bit hard to talk about. You know, we talk about a lot of the ups and downs in the Turo business, but today's story about our 2021 Range Rover Evoque, one of the stars of our fleet, takes the cake. Before we dive in, if you're into Turo or just car stories with wild twists, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to like the video. Alright, let's get straight into it. So, picture this. We're at home sleeping. It's like 3 a.m. Everything's calm, nothing's going on. I mean, it's 3 a.m. Everything's calm, everybody's sleeping. Then suddenly, our dog Coco goes crazy, barking at something outside. Next thing we know, there's a knock at the door, and it's the police. When we open the door, we're honestly not even thinking that it could be anything related to the cars because we live in a busy part of the city and sometimes things just happen and the cops come and ask if we have cameras or if we've seen anything or heard anything. But this time was different. They said my girlfriend's name and asked if she lived here. She was standing right next to me and said, "Yeah, I do live here." And so my mind immediately started racing, thinking about which cars we have under our names because at this point it had to be car related. I know that she has a couple of them technically under her name, a Fiat, a Chevy, and the Range Rover. They weren't gonna say the Range Rover, right? I mean, anything but the Range Rover. I'd be okay with I wouldn't be okay, but the Fiat, I could live with it. The Chevy, I'd be sad, but I could live with it. The Range Rover, please, just not the Range Rover. But then they dropped the bomb. It's our Evoque. And it's actually been in an accident in a pretty sketchy part of town. Abandoned with looters picking through it. I don't know. They weren't very clear. They didn't know exactly what was going on. They just told us that we needed to get ready and head over there as soon as we could. Before they left, I asked if they had any idea how bad the accident was. And they told me that they actually didn't have any information and that we really should just head over there. So we got out of our pajamas and got on the road. Rushing to the scene, nothing could have prepared us for what we were about to see. The Evoque was totaled. A tire was lying 10 feet away from the car. It was ripped out like a torn limb, tire arms, suspension, and all. The sides, the front, every inch of it was just destroyed. The door didn't even want to close. It was terrible. It was a gut-wrenching sight, especially for a car that was the top moneymaker in our fleet, not to mention that it was also my girlfriend's favorite car in the fleet. But yeah, this thing was in shambles. Completely demolished, definitely beyond repair. But what was the story behind this? It's in the middle of a regular street, no other cars around, and it looks like it just lost a fight to a transformer. Seriously. So here's where it gets crazier. The cops tell us the renters came back to the scene and their story was they bolted because they were anxious, because some other driver randomly pointed a gun at them, which caused them to zigzag across the street and crash straight into a concrete roadblock. And the kicker to all this? The person who rented it wasn't even driving. It was her quote-unquote nephew on some late-night grocery run. Come on now. A grocery run at 3 in the morning? What? I didn't buy it. Honestly, there was no way I was buying that story, and Turo's definitely not buying the story. It's not going to hold up against their terms of service. I'm glad she admitted it right in the Turo messages. It made it super easy for my claim process, and she'll have to foot the entirety of the bill for making stupid decisions. At this point, we grabbed the key from the people that were in the car, and the cops let us know that they could tow the vehicle for us for free, so that's what we ended up having done. We drove off into the sunrise and put our claim in as soon as we got home. We filed a claim with Turo, and thank goodness, at the time, we were on the 75 plan with only a $250 deductible. But the process, honestly, it was an absolute nightmare compared to any claims that I've had in the past. Radio silence from Turo for months. Seriously, my claim agent was terrible. Bottom of the literal barrel. As for the payout, we initially got a lowball settlement offer that I had to fight. And it wasn't until we really pushed that we got a somewhat reasonable offer that was roughly $4,000 more than what they were trying to give me at first. They don't allow you to send comps anymore, so it was really about making sure that all of my extras from the window sticker were accounted for, and that nothing was subtracted off of my car's value that was in fact on the vehicle, which they actually tried to do. So now let's talk numbers. We paid around $52K for this Evoque, and brought the loan down to $34K with an initial $10K down payment and then paying the loan for 13 months. Turo then had a final offering of $42.3K for the settlement, up from an initial offering of roughly $38,000. Adding in the rental earnings of $18,628 over the 13 months, we're looking at a total income of $26,928 against our $18,000 investment. So we made about $8,928 in 13 months, which averages out to $686 per month. A stark drop from the $1,420 monthly average we were hitting before this mess. This vehicle was bringing in well over $2,200 in the summer months at times too, so it really hurts to see this thing go, seriously. One big lesson here, car market timing. Buying the Evoque at the market's peak in summer 2022 meant a higher cost up front. If we'd gotten it cheaper, those monthly averages would have looked a lot better. That's definitely the biggest consideration and something that most Turo hosts likely don't think about because it only comes into play when exiting a vehicle or if it gets totaled. You hear it time and time again in YouTube videos that you make a lot of your money per vehicle when you buy the car. So make sure to only buy vehicles when the price is right. This whole saga with the Evoque was a roller coaster, from a top earner to a total loss. It's a reminder of the unpredictability in the Turo game and the importance of being prepared for anything. Despite the challenges, we still managed to stay decently in the green, and that's what counts in this business. Thanks for tuning in to this wild story. If you've had similar experiences, thoughts, or questions on this story, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear or answer them. And remember, keep your fleet tight and your insurance tighter. Until next time, take care, and I'll talk to you all soon.